One of my favorite movies growing up is 1953's Peter Pan. When I mean one of my favorite movies, this might be the single piece of fiction that it helped me mature through the good times of my childhood. Peter Pan is a movie about the boy who can never grow up. They live in an island, and one day they go to the real world to meet someone real, a girl, who they quickly become friends, and they tag along to one of the most emotional and the greatest journeys to ever be seen. Then, after the journey is over, Peter Pan has to leave that girl to grow up, finally grow up. This movie to me is a big statement, an emotional statement on the state what I stand for as it now and what I wanted as a kid, because being a child is truly one of the greatest experiences the human life can do. This movie is a big statement because even after Peter Pan leaves the girl, she still has the childlike behaviors she always did, because this movie is a statement that if you choose well enough to be yourself, no matter of your age, no matter of the adulthood around you, you will always be you. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, specifically in Passione's team, Bruno Bucciolati's team, we have a widely mixed of characters that define different themes of their own individuality into the overall story of what Part 5 stands for. Narancia is one of the characters which, to my opinion, his character journey is refusing to grow up. As a kid, I wouldn't argue that Narancia had one of the best backstories or one of the most emotional ones, but it definitely had one of the backstories that affected him the most throughout his life. Narancia's biggest decision in the series is based on the single decision that defined his life in his backstory. After his mother died, his father showed no care about him or anything about him, so he believed his friends. His friends, what he thought of as the only family he had after his mother died, was everything to him. The relationship he built with his friends, especially the best friend of his that he would call Big Bro, was his defining moment of his character. Later on into his backstory, we understand that his friends set him up to go to jail because of a crime he did and put it up on Narancia's name. Narancia served all the time on jail, and not only that, the intentional aspect of him being in jail by the setup of his friends. When he came out of jail, he expected support from his friends that he didn't get. He got betrayed. Narancia's character is defined by the emotion of trusting others, or better say, who to trust in this case. Key plot point about Narancia that I did not mention is the fact that he had an eye infection which was deadly to his previous members of the family, which his mother died from, and it was expected that he's gonna die too, since he didn't have a real place to live at and he was really depressed after what happened to him. Fugo found him in the street, and later on he became a member of the gang, specifically Bruno. In fact, Bruno, after he sent him into the hospital, didn't want to pick him up as a member of the gang because it was too dangerous for him. Narancia begged for it, and later on it happened, just to prove how little the chances are and how big the will is for a character like Narancia. The first time we see Narancia, we can assume he is a dumb person. I'm not saying that his character is dumb, but his personality is presented as not the smart one, perhaps. I'm sure we can all agree on that. What I'm trying to get across is that all of the members of the gang have a defining moment that they are defined as geniuses on their own, like Bruno, Giorno, Abacchio, and I will argue even Mista has some battle genius moment, but even Narancia has battle genius moment because after all they are mafia, but especially Mista and Narancia aren't really the type to be smart, in traditionally speaking what smart is defined by. We get hints of Narancia's personality throughout all of the part. From the first time we see him to the last time we see him, it feels like the same character progressively showing the same character trait that is defined by the fact that he refuses to grow up. In the dance scene, we see that Narancia was a starter to it, and what we today know as the dance scene from Part 5, it's Narancia's magnum opus in a way, because he is the dance scene master. Besides looking the youngest from all of them and looking the kid-like figure, the design he has, and even the first time we see him fight later on to the series when he defeats the first member of La Squadra, we see that even in his most mature decisions he made throughout the part, he still is the child he always was, which I think is the beauty of his character. Another aspect of Narancia's character that is highly underappreciated is his stand, Aerosmith or Lil Bumper. This stand and the way that Narancia uses specifically is great because it presents so much about his personality as well. Narancia can get angry at times and he has a will to defend the people he trusts, because trust to Narancia is essentially everything. The hardest moment in Narancia as the character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Part 5 is whenever to go with Bruno's team against the boss or to not. As he sees Fugo not going, Narancia is confused on his decision. His decision is really important because ultimately it would define his character and his life as a part of the Bruno team. We know that he has a lot of reason for to go, like the basic reason that everyone will think so is that he doesn't want to betray Bruno, someone he trusts. But at the same time, the reason that we get explained to on by his own narration is that Narancia feels that Trish has been betrayed, or her trust in her father has been betrayed. Something parallel to Narancia's journey as well, which again makes Narancia to go with Bruno's team. Narancia also is used within the group as the comedy relief character, which Araki probably thought this through quite well because the theme of Narancia's character refusing to grow up plays really well to that single character driven choice, or being written as the comedy relief of the group, because considering that every single member of the group has a tragic backstory and individuality into their perspective, views and moralities against a really choice to be part of Passione's Bruno's team against the boss, adds a lot of inner complexity within the individuality of their individual journeys. That meaning that Narancia whenever not is just a comedic relief character to some people's eye, which he clearly is not. He means way more to the story and to the characterization of the other members of Passione, and individually speaking Narancia is a very good character. Just means that Araki thought this really well. This is one of the few reasons why Narancia still will continue to have one of the best character journeys in paper, the choice to never grow up. The fight between Squalo and Tiziano proves a lot about Narancia. Narancia is the embodiment of the character that proves that hard work and passion and trust and the will to be there in the first place is just as important as the talent of naturally being smart or naturally having a great stand. As for JoJo's standards, Narancia's childhood-like behavior sometimes proved to be his biggest downfall, but you gotta understand that from the perspective of anyone that thinks more into this, that's his biggest advantage as well. One of the greatest fights in Part 5 happens as Narancia manages to win, using some decisions that prove his maturity, but also using his childhood-like behavior to win something that most people wouldn't just win that easily. The Tiziano and Squalo fight are some of the greatest moments in JoJo, especially for Narancia, and David Production clearly gave it the adaptation it deserved from manga to anime. Later on in Abakio's death scene, as I mentioned in my previous Abakio video, that the emotional aspect of a death scene is not necessarily the death itself, it's more about the reaction of those who got affected by it. In this case, it is the Passion team, as every single member of the Passion felt guilt, love, and honestly, just overall sadness for the death of Abakio. The character that, emotionally speaking, was the most physical, by that I mean the character that outright just started crying, was Narancia. Because of his kid-like behavior, he's not learned to mature that fast and to understand his character, to understand that Abakio was really gone. It took him a while after seeing Giorno's, Bruno's, and Mista's reaction to it to fully understand the situation. But when he did, I just felt that Narancia understood that maturity sometimes, whenever we want it or we don't want it to be, is inferior to childhood-like behaviors. Because after all, we will all want to be a simple person, being free. Spoilers ahead for those who haven't read the manga or aren't fully catch up with the anime. Narancia makes the most mature decision in the final arc of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I won't go in detail on the arc because that's for another video on more complex characters that define the arc itself, but as for Narancia's character, he makes the most mature decision he will ever make. In this case, truly giving everything for those who he loves, and by that I mean truly giving everything. Narancia was prepared for that all along, and after all, for him, giving something for what he trusted was everything he needed. Giorno even vowed to Narancia that he won't let anything hurt him anymore and swear to bring him home. Narancia's final rest. As we move on, thank you Narancia. Narancia kind of reminds me of another character, Star-Lord from Guardian of the Galaxies. He's not mature enough to accept his mother's passing away. His whole life is lived by the single fact of him refusing to grow up, till the real people around him help him mature to the point that he is there to metaphorically and physically make the mature decision he didn't make as a kid. Finally, to grow up. Narancia, even though being one of these simply, it's still a very good character. I love Narancia, and he's really cute as well. I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below your thoughts, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server. Adinplore is signing out.